Hi everyone. Wallen again for the Southville course on Arduino for beginners. And today we're going to actually be creating a traffic light. So it's basically what you learned in lesson 2. But we're going to show how to 3D print it and wire it up as well. So it's going to be a little bit of a change because you're going to see it fully wired up by the end of this. So we're just going to begin, just a review again. This is the Arduino board. You have your digital pins 0 to 13. These print high and low. You have your ground, restart button. These are your analog pins, which take a wider range of values, normally for in, and then different voltage pins. So that's your basic Arduino circuit board setup, your basic breadboard setup. So this is how everything's wired. So these things are connected this way, this way, this way, and they don't jump over, so you don't get any jump from here. So these are just a review to help you remember the circuit board, the breadboard, and today we're going to be going over a small Arduino trick called the ground rail, because everything needs to be connected to ground. So if I put a wire from ground to this minus sign, and remember how our breadboard is connected like this. So everything on that breadboard here is now a ground. Because I wired ground to here, everything on that breadboard is now a ground. All right. A little bit of a review as well. So we connect the voltage to the positive terminal of an LED, the part of the anode, the long leg. So the current flows through here, the anode, and it flows out the cathode, the negative part. Same thing, we use Ohm's law to show that, but we're going to be using 350 ohms for our LEDs. Okay. Last review, all Arduino code looks like this. It has an on start on the Blockly, the Tinkercad type stuff, but on the real thing, on start is called void setup, and then your code here will typically go. So the code, there's actual real code here. It's just they show it blank to keep it simple, and it'll show up there. And then the loop, the forever corresponds to the loop. And then this is the code in the loop. So that's the basic Arduino code part. So this set-in built-in LED to high actually has two parts. First, you have to turn on pin mode, and then you have to do a digital write. Okay. So we're going to be going over C++ again, just for this lesson. So as I shared in the previous video, every C++ statement or command starts with the command name, and then the arguments go between these two parentheses brackets. So here, since there are no arguments, you just get an open close parentheses ending with a semicolon. So this is the end, and then this is where the arguments go, arg. So here's another sample. Command name, open parenthesis, argument 1, comma, argument 2, close parenthesis, semicolon. So an example would be wait 1, 5, and then this would end with a semicolon. Or print F5, hello, also ending with a semicolon. So each command has 3 parts. A command name, arguments, and a semicolon. Next thing we're going to be discussing in this video is variable type. So you're going to see this. And each thing just represents a different kind of variable. So an int represents a number from negative 2 million to positive 2 million. A double would be something with a decimal point. So negative 1.7 to positive 1.7 times 10 to the 308. So it's huge numbers, like a trillion-ish, and it handles decimals. Float, which also can handle decimals. Integer cannot. It's only positive whole numbers. Boolean, that's either a true or false. A char, so it's just one letter. or one digit. A string would be a word. So why is it important to understand that? So because when we look at each function or C++ basics, we start everything with a variable type. Okay, so int is kind of what we call the variable type, what the function returns. The function name is main, and then the arguments go here. Okay, and then if it returns something, if it returns an int, then it needs a return statement, like return 1. Another example is here. Void means it doesn't have to return anything. This is the function name setup, open and close brackets, and then you see these curly brackets here, code goes here. So another sample is on our Arduino code. You see this void setup. It just means it doesn't have to return anything, and then you put the code there. Okay, so void just means the function doesn't have to return anything. And all our Arduino C++ code does have this structure void setup and then void loop. All right, so that's the C++ basics. A reminder on Arduino. Let's go and start wiring our basic traffic light in Tinkercad, and then we're gonna go wire it in Arduino and show you some 3D printing. So here we go. Arduino, the code we'll need to use is just set a pin to high. So you'll see this in Blockly, set pin to high. But this Blockly code corresponds to two real C++ commands, which is pin mode 5 output. So I'm setting pin number 5 for output. And then I'm writing a high variable in pin number 5. Basically, I'm turning it on. So this is just a reminder of the code used in the actual lesson. All right, so let's do our demo of a traffic light. We're going to switch over to Arduino. We're going to click Create, Circuits, and I'm going to call this Lesson 3, Traffic Light. Okay, so we're going to be dragging one Arduino board, one breadboard, and we're going to be using that trick I showed you before, which is creating a ground rail. So here I'm going to be taking a black wire and wiring this to the ground rail. All right, so now we're ready. Let's copy the design. So we're going to be using a pin. Oh, we'll just move this a bit up. Be using a pin here, going from pin number 5. Okay, pin number 5 to number 2. And then pin number 3 to number 9. And then pin number 1 to number 16. So pin number 1 to number 16. Okay. Next, so now we can see this rail is energized. We're going to be taking a LED. And again, the long leg, actually we have to set up the resistors first. So let's put a resistor. Each resistor will have 1 second. I think it's 350 ohms. So it's 350 ohms. So we're going to be checking this with Ohm's law calculator. I think we have 5 volts, and then we want 15 milliamps, roughly. So we should be getting roughly 333 ohms. So I think 350 is okay. Okay, so we'll be having 350 ohms here. Let's set that up over here, like so. Okay. 350 ohms over there. And then we'll just duplicate that. So copy, paste another 350 ohms here, and then copy, paste another 350 ohms here. So now we have 3 resistors on 350 ohms, and then I'm gonna set this to red. Okay, and you're gonna come over here, red, copy, paste. You're going to be over here, yellow, and then copy, let's copy this and paste, and you're gonna be my green. Green. So now we have a traffic light, red, yellow, green. Let's just finish up our wiring. We have to wire this here, the cathode, wire it to the ground rail, and then we'll wire another one. Here we'll wire that to the ground rail, and here lastly we'll wire this to the ground rail. Okay, so now we have everything that works. So now on pin 5, pin 3, pin 1, and now let's go check out the code. So we're going to set pin number 5 to high, and then we'll do click control. Well, first we'll do blocks plus text so you can see. So as soon as I put, let's just delete this. So let's start this way so you can see both pieces of code in action. So let's set pin number 5 to high, and you notice it created both a pin mode output on the setup and a digital write. And then we'll wait, let's say 2 seconds. Okay, and then we're going to set pin number 5 now to low. Let's turn basically the red, and then we're going to do set pin number 3 to high. Okay, so the yellow will be turned on, the green will be turned off. We'll wait 2 seconds, and then we are going to set pin number 3 to low. And pin number 1 to high. So now the yellow will be set to low, it will be turned off, and then it will set to high. Green will be turned on. And then we are going to wait 2 seconds. And then we are going to set pin 1 to low. So now green will be turned off. And then it repeats. And it's now going to go back here, set pin to high. So it's going to repeat and set red, set pin 5 on, which turns it red. So with that, this is our whole piece of code. This is what the C++ looks like. And let's now click start and hope everything works. So initializing, so red, yellow, green. Red, yellow, green. So now we've basically made a simple piece of traffic light in Arduino on Tinkercad. And the next piece we're going to do in the next part of this video, we're going to 3D print and wire it up in a real Arduino. So see you in the next video.